Hey guys, this is Z.A.K here, and today I'm going to be starting a new series called RC 101, which is going to tell you guys like tips and stuff like that, and some knowledge you should know about the RC hobby. Like if you don't know what to buy, or you're just confused on some things, like is brush really that good, or is brushless like just as good as it sounds, like as fast as it sounds? So yeah, I'll be telling you all those tips today. So today I'm going to start with brushless versus brushed motors, and I'll tell you some tips about that along the way. So let's get started. Here we have a Titan 12T 550 size brushed motor from Traxxas. And this is one of the older versions from 2011, which is straight from my Rustler in 2011. And it is burnt out, and I'll show you why along the way. Now, this top part is the end bell, and this bottom part is basically the motor body right there, and this is the output shaft, and these things on the side in the outside here are air vents, and so are these. And then, well, I gotta cut it open, but you can't tell, but there were air vents that were here, but I just cut it open. Then right here is the sleeve, which the sticker peeled off, so it doesn't say Titan 12T that much anymore. Just kind of you can kind of read it. So yeah, let's take it apart and investigate it. So this is what's inside the end belt. And as you can see, there's a little assembly with these little springs right here, which are for the brushes, so they're called the brush springs. And then these are the brushes, which this would actually fell out on me when I was trying to set up. And that's a big downside with brush motors, is that the brushes can fall right out of your motor. And what it could do without your, well, if you lose a brush, you're basically screwed with your motor. You can't really get back in there unless you do what I did and cut it open and glue some other part, like another end belt to the back, and then you're good. I've done that once and it worked, but not very long because another brush fell out. So yeah, the brushes are held in to these little springs and these little square notch holes right in the tip of my middle finger there. And yeah, that's all they're held in. And then the other one's bent and broken, as you can tell, because a rock actually flew through one of the air vent holes, which basically every brush motor has. That's for an RC, since it's going to get hot and it needs some air to cool it. And sometimes more than just air could get in there, and it could also take out one of your brushes, which totally destroys your motor, which is what happened here. So that's one of the biggest downsides to brush motors. So 90% of people agree, and that is totally why I don't run brush motors. And because they're slow and they're really old, and the classes just don't line up with them, and they're not even fast. Like, they're really slow. So inside of the body, you have your commutator slash shaft assembly here. Now, this is the pinion shaft, which is where your pinion gears are mounted. Right here are your stacks, which are these big silver things which house the copper wire inside of the motor. And then, yeah, these are the wire coils inside the motor, which are soldered up to the stator shaft right there, which is where the little springs from in the commutator make contact with this. They rub against it to create electricity to each one of the wires in the stack. So it alternates the power through the stacks, and it just gives the motor power because there are magnets in the body which conduct it, and it makes it spin. Also, on the top here, there is a fan on this particular model. Not all motors will have this fan. So some models have this just for extra cooling, and it's pretty nice. And also there are some little spacers in the top of this part of the shaft here. On this part there was some, but they fell out. And in the ends of both the ends of the motors, both the ends of this motor have bushings in them, which are these little bronze looking things here. And yeah, inside of there are both of your magnets. It's a little dark, so yeah, that's where your magnets are, which conduct the electricity. And yeah, that's basically basics of a brush motor. And now we're going to get on to brushless, which is the meat of this video. Which brushless motors, it looks and it sounds expensive, but honestly, every time you burn out a brush motor and you go to replace it for like $20, you're just throwing money out the window for buying a brushless system. And I guarantee you, if you keep using these, the motor will just keep burning out and the cycle will never end. But if you do what I did and get a brushless motor, it'll be all good. Now, I've went through like 6 of these motors, and I've spent about, well, I don't know, $100 on just these motors, where I could have just waited and saved, or maybe I just could have got brushless on a brushless RTR right off the bat, and wouldn't have to go through all that money. And then after you burn out all those motors and you decide you want to go brushless, you just wasted a ton of money. So yeah. Another good thing about brushless motors is they're maintenance free. They don't burn out on you unless if you overload them with too much power or you're just abusing it. That's the only way you'll ever burn out a brushless motor. And yeah, so let's get to the brushless motor assembly. If I can open up this motor. This is the end bell, which some other motors which are censored will have a little port in there and an adjustment to it, so you can adjust the end bell timing, which I'll get into that into another video. There we go. So yeah, I'm not gonna pull the magnet out, but there's spacers on the magnet that can keep it in place, and then that's where your wires are soldered up from the little inner piece, which looks like this. These are the coils of the motor. Now these are from a different motor, a Reedy motor from my SC10RS, and this is broken like this because a rock got inside of my motor when the end bell cap fell off because the glue melted, and it totally screwed up the motor, and it just doesn't even work anymore. It's not the motor's fault this happened. It's my fault because the end bell cap just fell off. So, and also the company's fault too because they didn't secure it very well. So yeah, there's A, B, and C wires. There's 3 wires that conduct electricity, unlike brushed motors where there's only 2. So this gives it a little bit more precision as well, and it also kind of helps conduct the magnet around better. Now this magnet, I'll just pull out the sleeve. I just want to keep it far away from my Mac so it doesn't screw it up, because this is a really, really strong magnet. This is a rare earth magnet. It's called a neodymium magnet. Now, they need really strong motors like this because this thing needs to be powerful, and it also needs a powerful magnet to conduct all the amps and electricity going through the motor. And yeah, it's what drives it is that there is electricity given out to one of each of these wires in a certain way, and each time it does it, it spins the magnet around, and it'll kick up the speed, and the magnet will start spinning really fast as electricity is put into the motor. So it's kind of the basics with your motors for brushless. And then the difference here is that the brush motors, the wires are all in the center, and to get the electricity into these wires, there's contact between the brushes and this part, and it has to rub, and this can wear out your motor. So it's not just so if you're running it nice and fine and you don't break it in though, your wires will not your wires, your brushes will not align with the stator, and it won't work because these will not be broken in right, because it's like kind of like sanding something down. You don't want it to be too bumpy. Like if you're going too fast, it's just going to sand it down too fast. And if you go slow and even, it'll nicely set into the stator here. And then this doesn't have wires because they're all in here, and there's no contact between the magnet and the coil, which means it'll spin a ton faster than this. So yeah, the only contact that's in a brushless motor is with the bearings on the outside here. Now this is a bearing, not a bushing. And bushings are basically solid pieces of metal, and that's just what it spins on. And if you wear this out, you have to replace the motor. Whereas on this, it's a bearing, so that there's a ring on the outside, and then there's a ton of balls between the inner ring, which makes this kind of like a two-way system, and it spins really nice. And this is not a rubber sealed bearing. I think it's ceramic or just a metal sealed bearing. But yeah, it's built so it can spin really fast. Also, there's the difference between the ESCs for your brushless motors. These ones have to have 3 wires to accommodate for the 3-wired motor, and it's just programmed differently for the brushless motor. So like this is wired differently to handle the magnet the positioning and all that other stuff, like this one, where it's just wires like on the outside, and you can connect a battery, like a positive and negative, to these, and if this was like a solid motor, it would spin, whereas this you can't. It's more than just that. So yeah, and there's also many different sizes. This is a 1/16th scale motor, which is a 380 motor from my 1/16th Revo. And this is a 550 motor from Traxxas Rustler slash whatever. And yeah, there's many different sizes. You've seen my micro videos. Those micros use really small brushless motors that are for 1/36 scales. I don't know the size or anything, but they're really small. And yeah, that's basically what I can say about brushed versus brushless motors there, guys. So comment, rate, subscribe if this helped, and also if you want to see more videos like, if you want to see more RC 101, go like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will make another one. So yeah, guys, comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.